Hello again. It's 24 minutes to 3 o'clock. This is Today on eNCA, DSTV 403. I'm Dan Mabuyane. Thank you very much for joining us on this Tuesday afternoon. Now, there's a crisis in the Eastern Cape. The deaths of at least 30 young men at initiation schools has the local government scrambling to find solutions. The Premier, Oscar Mabuyane, says the deaths recorded every season can best be described as a pandemic. Mabuyane is now calling for an urgent provincial indaba to bring an end to the crisis before the next initiation season. The Premier joins us now to discuss this further. Good afternoon, Premier. Thank you very much for your time. Mhlekazi, I know you are in the middle of an executive meeting and you've taken out a few minutes to talk to us. We appreciate it. Let's just get to the nub of the issue. Just a few days ago, I interviewed a member of the Congress of Traditional Leaders, Zolani Mkiva, who was bemoaning the role, one, of the illegal initiation schools, the lack of consequence, that there has been no conviction for years recently when illegal initiation schools have been found and identified. That's the first. The second one, he was also bemoaning the fact that parents seemingly complicit in these illegal initiation schools by taking their children there, knowing that some of these traditional surgeons are really not the genuine ones. And finally, some cases there's peer pressure, and some of the young men take themselves to these illegal initiation schools. So it looks to me like family here is at the center of the problem. Would you agree, sir?
Yes, good afternoon, Braden. Good afternoon also to viewers of your Today program. Thank you very much for giving us the platform. Yes, today we are adding another death of a young boy. Now we talk of 31, no longer 30 deaths. It's 31st today. It's a very sad day, I must say. It's a sad season in the province. We registered about 70,000 young boys who really wanted to go through this passage to manhood, who really wanted to be the fathers and the husbands of tomorrow, not knowing that they will be handing themselves into this guillotine. Where we really regret this and condemn it in the strongest possible terms. And also convey our heartfelt condolences to the family that have lost their young men. Yes, of course, the family must be at the center. I agree fully with that. We have created an impression or a narrative that this is about traditional leaders. Traditional leaders are just mere custodians of our cultures and rituals. We should be able to take full responsibility as parents. This is a societal matter. Wherever it happens properly, society is always closer to it through the active participation of parents and all men in the area. Actually, this is a bad reflection about all men who are out there, who are just watching when these things are happening unending. So it's a very unfortunate, dire situation, pandemic indeed. We can't have this every season. We're losing lives.
So Premier, in the interest of time, sorry, Premier Mabuyane, in the interest of time, you are now calling for an urgent provincial indaba. What would you hope it would achieve? What would it focus on?
It's part of our monitoring and evaluation. Every time and again, every season, we always come together and make a reflection. We might have been limiting those reflections into those who are actually authorities, just to make such a SWOT analysis. Now we think we need a broader platform that must also be extended to representatives from the family institutions, the NGOs, the civil society that are all involved into this, as well as traditional leaders. Just to make a reflection, we've enacted laws and developed regulation rules around this, and we've been implementing them. I can tell you, we have been effective. If we still had that situation of laissez-faire, we'd be talking about thousands deaths. We've managed to curtail this issue of illegal initiations. There are actually consequences. I must stress that one out. People have been arrested. People have been prosecuted. People actually have been convicted. Some people are in jail as we speak. be it a surgeon or whoever that has been found to be involved. Or
would you want to see harsher sentences?
Definitely, yes. We would want to have harsher sentences, because as much as we implement these ones that we have, they still show that they are not really a deterrent. There are still people who are taking chances, still people who are still undermining what we are trying to do. We need harsher sentences. A death is a death. And people must understand that if you have killed someone, whether through the initiation, you have killed someone, and you must face the consequences that are equal to any death that would have been committed by anyone else on the street. So that's an issue that we're looking at, but we believe that let's get it done, and we will be working with our universities also to do a bit of research. I think we need a research as well on how best scientifically we can deal with this situation. Unfortunately, most of the boys that have died are still coming out of illegal initiation. Yes, there are some who are coming from legal initiation schools who have died simply because of dehydration, which is also a question of being irresponsible. No young man must die out of dehydration. That stage has gone and passed. Young boys must be given water. We have said so before. We know that this has been a problem. We know how weak our boys are in terms of the system. So it can't be that we subject them to what would have been a practice 50 or 20 years ago. So we would want to see this thing being done by all of us to implement these regulations and legislation. You need the entire ecosystem to function optimally. Communities, society, everyone. I
think, Premier, if you get all those various role players collaborating properly and with the family at the core, and father figures and uncles and grandfathers being central to the role forward, I think you might find that you get a formula there of stopping or preventing future deaths. Very briefly, sir, before I let you go, when would such an indaba happen? What is your target?
The system, the current season is ending mid-January. We said immediately after the ending of the season, let's have it. We're continuously monitoring the situation now, visiting all these areas. So we are basically building a report that must be presented there, look at all those areas of concern, crystallize them, and see how best together are we sharing some actually ideas around the panacea to the problem that we're dealing with, how to find that panacea and how to move forward. What also needs to be done to improve this was clearly, surely we must adapt with time around this issue. It can no longer about this, where even if it creates deaths, even where there are illegal initiations are also causing death. How best are we ensuring that we adapt with times as well?
Thank you very much, because it is a very noble cultural tradition, and adapting to the modern times would be one of the solutions. Well, we'll have to wait and see, Premier Mabuyane, what comes out of that indaba at the end of January, after the end of this current initiation season.